What's up, everyone? My name is Chris Fanzon. You are listening to the Hidden Doors podcast. And upcoming, I have my conversation with Kathryn and Renier. And they are life coaches and they help spiritual seekers find another way to move from fear to self-love, putting the missing piece of the puzzle together so they can finally experience the freedom they have all been searching for. So that is my conversation upcoming. I'm dressed in different clothes than the podcast because I'm recording this a different day. So you'll happen to see that. But I hope you enjoy the conversation. And if you do, hit it, give me a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on more podcasts coming down like this. I hope you enjoy. All right, what's up, guys? How you doing? Thank you for coming on.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having us. It's awesome to be with you.
Yeah, I see the background here. I just watched one of your videos. And you guys, this is your background, right? This is where you record everything?
Yeah, this is us.
Very nice. I like how you guys do it together as a partnership. I love that.
Thank you.
I see some Facebook posts. You're inspiring people. I love it.
Thank you.
I just love it. Yeah. So, thank you for coming on here. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Why don't you guys tell me what you do? Because I know that you inspire people, but you do a whole bunch of things. So I'd love to hear it.
So what we do is we show leaders how to become conscious of their personal, of their mindset. And with a strong mindset, they are able to create personal and financial freedom, not only for themselves, but everyone around them. So it's been quite a mission that we've been on to truly be helpful.
Yeah, once you get past that mindset, right, you can almost accomplish anything.
Yeah,
but it's that's that mindset that you got to get past.
Yeah. So a lot of our work is to teach the difference between love and fear, and how to get out of this mindset of fear and lack and not enough, and move into a mindset of personal power and love and being certain of ourselves and who you are and what you can give and being present in this moment, which is really the only place that love exists.
I love that. So I read a book called Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
But it there's like this, I don't know what you would call it, but there's this thing that Napoleon wanted you to like say to yourself every day. And one of the lines I think it's missing in our current, I don't know about your climate. You guys are from UK, is that correct?
Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, I was way off. Okay. South Africa. I don't know about you guys, but the United States is just like very polarized right now. I don't know why people are fighting down each other's throats. And then that's not good for you mentally. Like, how do you, like, don't you want good for other people, even if they disagree with you? And so one of the things that I started to like rethink about is one of the lines is Napoleon's like, always don't take out all of the jealousy, cynicism, negativity in your head, and just like, you can never be successful if you have all those negative emotions in your head. You can only be successful when you're like, hey, I want the best for you and me. Let's grow together and like think good things. And if you have all those negative emotions towards each other, it's like, how can you be successful for yourself? And so I think that is one aspect that's maybe missing a little bit, which I love to see that you guys talk about, is like the love part. Like where's the love? Why can't we all just love each other? I don't know why, but sometimes we fight down each other's throats. So how long have you guys been doing this together?
2 years.
Yeah, together we've been doing this for 2 years. My journey is about 20 years on my side, and she's got her journey also about 20 years. So together it's like quite a substantial amount of time that we have put into ourselves, into specifically that, like, what does it mean to really love yourself, and then being able to to extend that versus the opposite side where we are running around and seeing what we can get and from who and for how long, and then how to move this form over to another. So it's been quite a journey working on ourselves to get to this point where we really get to share this heart space with the world around us.
Have you guys always lived in South Africa, or did you move to South Africa? Or did you grow up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both South African.
Very cool. I've always wanted to go to South Africa.
It is a beautiful, beautiful country.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would work if we show our view.
Can I show you?
Yeah.
Let's do it. You're gonna make me jealous, but that's okay. Oh, give me a break. That is very nice. No wonder why you guys are always so happy.
That's what we get to look at.
Did you so you're on the coast. Did you always grow up on the coast, or did you move to the coast?
No, we moved here just over a year ago. Yeah.
Very smart people.
We were up in the city, and now we're down in Cape Town, but we're actually out of Cape Town, very much out of the city, in a little sleepy hollow, which is normally sleepy. It's been holiday season and it's been crazy busy, but normally there's no traffic in our world.
That's nice. Do you guys, so you just go to the beach a lot? Like, is your weekend just the beach? It's beautiful. Yeah, I'm jealous. I am jealous.
Not just our weekends. Yeah. Like we wake up in the morning and as part of our ritual, we make our way down. We either climb a mountain and then make our way down quickly into the ocean. And then in the office with this view, we get to do this every day.
Yeah, we really want to. We really want to move away from this like Monday to Friday grind and have our whole lives. We actually work way harder than just Monday to Friday, but because our lifestyle is so good and we integrate play into every day, it's not the same sort of routine as how it was when we were in the rat race.
Yeah. You probably work more, but you're happier, but you have a more autonomous schedule, right? You do whatever you want. It's better to have more autonomy than like you're forced to work 9 to 5, right? I don't know what human nature just doesn't like to be told like as humans, we don't like to be told you have to do this at this time. It's like, I'll work longer. Just give me a little bit of flexibility here.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be in the right mindset to be able to do your best at work. And if you're not in that mindset, then all that you're creating is more fear. And that's the exact opposite of what we are about.
So how do you get people out of this fear mindset? Is there any techniques you do?
Yeah.
There's many. I think first is to really get to the understanding that we all have been programmed with this fear mindset, like a fingerprint ingrained into our DNA. Like this is how it is. This is what we've been shown, and we don't know anything else. And then in this mindset of fear, there are certain rules that we follow, and the most important part of these rules is that I am not here in this now, which means it's either the past or the future, or and it always ends up in destruction. Does not matter how we look at it. So being able to make that acknowledgement is almost the hardest part of getting to this understanding that I am showing up out of a space that's good enough for the world, and I have got no clue what I deserve or what's good enough for me. And once that acknowledgement has been made, looking at the other side is like, wow, does that really exist? So making the acknowledgement is always the first step to be like, okay, I can see that where I'm at is not where I'm happy, number one. And where I'm at is not in a place that I would give to myself, like I deserve better. But because this is all that I know, this is the life that I'm living.
Did you guys have fears that you broke when you were early? Like when you started getting into self-development, were there like techniques you're like, oh, I'm fearful of going and starting my own business? And then how did you go about breaking your fears down?
You see, the process, the mindset of fear is really a mindset that we are all defaulted to. We are brought up in that mindset. And it's really a result of thinking with the ego, which is the thought of separation, as opposed to love, which is the thought of oneness and wholeness. So undoing those fears are really a lifetime's worth of work that ends in enlightenment. So it's not like we have no fears. We both very much have fears, and those fears come up in our relationship. We're working together, living together, with the children, with clients, with just so many day-to-day things. But it's really about, like Renier said, it's about the acknowledgements. And when you are aware that that is the fear and that is the mindset that you're wanting to shift, then you can choose another way in each moment. And every time that comes up, it's about not being stuck in it for too long, but shifting that mindset as quickly as possible back to a mindset of love, which is the mindset of peace and presence.
So talking about techniques to actually make the shift, like she says, once the acknowledgement is made, like 90% of the work is done, because it's really tough to be honest with ourselves, especially if we have sugar-coated stuff for such a long time. We end up believing the sugar-coated story rather than the truth. So 90% of the work is really making that acknowledgement. And then the 10% that's left is really being able to tap into that newfound awareness about whatever, maybe self-esteem or confidence. And then we use a whole lot of different modalities, but neurolinguistic programming is one of them. That 10% is the tool that we get to use to actually show up differently. Because we've got this awareness, we don't need to remain stuck. So it's also a practice that I get to use this little tool every time I experience that. So in the past, before the acknowledgement, there was just no awareness. It was just, I'm doing the best that I can with what I have available, and this is good enough for me because I've never known anything else.
Yes, I want to keep talking about this. First, I screwed up. In the beginning, I forgot to ask your name. So I know Kathryn, and then I forgot to ask your name. Sorry, what is your name?
My name is Renier.
Renier?
Renier, yeah.
You guys have cool names. I have a boring name. It's just Chris. So yeah, okay. Gotcha. So it's beautiful to officially meet you guys. So like, I guess why I even talk about tech. Well, it's two things, right? It's getting out of the mindset. I don't know how you teach people to get out of the mindset. It seems like sometimes when you're in the mindset, it's hard to get out of it. In my head, how I helped, because especially when I was younger, I was afraid. I was so afraid of making mistakes and doing things. And maybe it was because I was a little bit of a perfectionist, or maybe I was just shy. I don't know what the reason was. But the more that I started saying, you know what? Every little thing that I go after, if it's not a success or a great victory, it doesn't matter. Like, if it's not I'm not going to fit my whole life on this one little endeavor. It's not going to mean I'm a big failure. It just means that I don't know, it didn't work out. And I learned from it, and I'll learn from it. And next, I'm going to keep going after it, and then I'll learn. As long as I'm learning and growing, I'm becoming better off as a person. Is like one of those things, and that's just like it's a hard thing to fully understand, though, because things could be scary. A big client presentation, oh, that's scary. Something that seems like impossible to do, why even try it? It seems scary. And it's a mindset that's hard to switch. I don't even know. It's hard. Like sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. Like I read a book, and it sort of changed my perspective. I was ready to hear that message, but some people, I don't know. It's hard to get that person out of that mindset, I guess. And I just have some different ways of thinking about it. I say, you know what? Who cares? I'm going to try it. And if it fails, I really don't care. I tried my best, and I'm going to try it again and try it again. And if it doesn't work out in the end, I've learned something, and then I'll do something else. And I found that was a good way to just say, hey, look, if I fail, I fail. So like, there's techniques like that. There's also techniques of like, right, setting goals. So I set long-term goals this way. Like if I have a year or two goal set out of what I want to do, the day-to-day minutia is less, it's easier to deal with, right? When you don't have that long-term goal and you're like, well, maybe you guys maybe don't have down days because you're by the beach. That beach is beautiful. You might be looking at yourselves and saying, oh, we love this life. But some people, right? The day-to-day minutia is like up and down. It's up and down. I feel good. I feel bad. It's hard to deal with that. So like one of those ways is like, long-term goal setting of where I want to be in a year. This way I can keep my mind on track of where I want to be. I recently started doing some meditating. I love meditating. I don't know if you guys do any type of meditation. But these are all like just, I guess they're complementary, right? First, you have to have the awareness, and then how do you continue to be motivated to stay strong and loving, because you can have that awareness one day and then a week something might bad happen to you, and I don't know, maybe you fall off track. So I guess, are there any techniques, like any of the things I mentioned, that helps keep you on track, or anything like that? Am I making any sense here, or no?
Yeah, you definitely are. I think I will start with the fear part. Is if if we don't get to experience fear and fail, we will not grow, we will not expand, we will remain stuck in that sameness that we know. So everything that we get to take on, and I will use myself as a explanation just around videos, like before this whole COVID thing started, my work was very much one-on-one or group work, and there was nothing that was ever recorded. It was like me doing what I'm doing, and then when this whole COVID thing started, it was like, okay, the way in which I used to do things now is over, and I'm going to have to move over to a brand new way of doing things, and then I needed to get in behind the camera. And there was so much fear inside of me. Like every time I'm in front of the camera, I just lose everything. And I'm standing there like I've got nothing to say and I don't know. And it was real. It was very, very real. I'm like, I know all of this stuff. I'm living this. How can I not just let it come out and be? So that was something that I really had to sit down with and let go. And throughout many different recordings, the experience that I got to have, and screwed up many times, but the experience that I got to have got me to that point where now I get to show up in front of the camera and there's no fear. It's like I'm in flow. It's easy. So the little bit of time that I got to spend in dealing with this fear is we have actually created a program called Game of Life. And in this program, Game of Life, there are 6 different modules, and every module is experiential in nature. Because we live in this information age, it's easy to just jump from one set of information to another set and just accumulate more and more. But to actually experience the experience allows me this new awareness. And from that awareness, I get to show up differently. But before that, it's like checkmate. And so many checkmates comes in different areas of life where I mess up in a relationship and I really feel hurt. And I say, my heart is going to stay closed and I'm not going to go into a relationship ever again. And then it's me. I'm going to stop playing. I am not playing anymore. So being able to experience that experience, like you said earlier, like in that, like, I don't care if I do well or don't do well, but after doing it a few times, it's like, okay, this becomes easier now. So just being able to have the courage, the bravery to show up in that moment and do it.
I also want to add to that, because I've been witness to this process of yours, and part of, and also to touch on what you were talking about, Chris, about failure, is that there are 2 ways of failing, and the one is to fail unsuccessfully, and the other is to fail successfully. Like, to get away from failure is impossible. We're always going to have failures. We're here to learn, and failure is part of learning. So in watching you go through this process and recording and watching the recordings and looking at it and going, what can I learn from this? And taking that learning and turning it into a successful failure and showing up again and doing it a little bit differently. And in that, maybe failing again and then watching it again and going back to, what can I learn from this? And showing up and doing it differently has really been a major part of your transcending that particular fear. And it's really what you were talking about was it doesn't matter if I fail, because failure is part of life. It just matters that I get better from this failure and I don't fail in the same way again and again and again, because that really is failure.
I wonder if we can just take failure out of our dictionary, like our vocabulary. Like, is failing trying something and then it not working, then you going back and learning from it and doing it again, and then because you didn't do well, you actually, like, in my head, failure is, I don't know if this makes sense, but I say failure is only when you're not like maximizing your potential. So right now you look beautiful on camera, but if you were so afraid of going on the camera and you end up not doing it, you didn't take and maximize your potential, then maybe you could say, you know what, you failed because you had this potential and you didn't take the step because of this fear that I don't even know how to explain it, but somehow it's programmed into our head that if you do it, you might, I don't know, who knows. I had a similar thing, like when I first started the podcast. I was horrible. Well, I don't know how great I am now, but like my first conversation I don't think was that great. And the first time I ever was on camera recorded, I wrote a book, and I tried to, like, summarize the book into like a 2-minute clip, and I just tried to say like what the book is about. And it took me like 20 takes. It took me like 20 or 30 takes. It was like, what the hell is going on here? And eventually I got a little more better and better and better. So I had a somewhat similar experience to you. It is weird though, right? Like, I can't, like, people are not used to being recorded.
No.
You get all the lights flashing on you. Like, that's not a natural setting.
Yeah. And to summarize something is actually very difficult. And I've had a similar experience because I also, in my previous life, I've had a podcast. And my first podcast, I was so nervous. It was terrible. And also doing the recordings of the summary for the beginning of the podcast. And that was also something that I used to do like 20 times over before I was like, okay. And even to be able to listen to myself, that took quite a lot of courage to be able to get to that point. So
yeah, it is weird, right? Listening to your own voice.
Yeah. But now it's easy, and now I can let videos go out and do a podcast with you, and because I've had the experience. Yeah.
It's funny, like, I feel like doing things like that initially, like, are not in your comfort zone. So this wasn't in your comfort zone. You've overcome it. Now it's in your comfort zone, right? I like that has to help out in other aspects of life, I would assume, right? Like, if you were afraid of swimming and you said, you know what, no, I'm going to swim, and you finally accomplish it, does that say, you know what, I was afraid of doing this, I'm going to start doing this now? Like, I wonder, the more times you do things that are uncomfortable, it's easier to do the next thing that seems uncomfortable, right? Like, that's why I've read this book called Can't Hurt Me. It's Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. He's a crazy guy. He runs marathons, 100 miles, whatever. He does a lot of very tough things. And because of that, now I start running outside. And I'm in New York, in the United States, which right now, yesterday, it felt like -5 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
And it was about 11 degrees. And no normal person would want to run outside in that weather. But I was like, you know what? It sucks. I'm going to do it because it sucks. And then hopefully I'll be okay with the uncomfortableness. You have to be more comfortable being uncomfortable, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, right? Because the more you can do that, the more you're like, oh, podcast, I'll do that. Oh, this thing that's I'm a little nervous about, who cares? Let's try. I feel like the more you can do that, the more you'll build a path for yourself where you can succeed.
Yeah, because you're redefining your comfort zone, and you're also overcoming fear is a mental practice. So by practicing that, you also get stronger mentally to be able to shift the mindset from fear to love.
One thing that you guys mentioned that I definitely don't know the terminology, so if I mess this up, you can let me know. But I heard someone before say linguistic programming, and what I understand that to be is, if, let's say, like, I was about to give a big presentation or something, and you feel nervous. There's two ways in your head that you can, like, interpret that or reprogram. One is can be like, I am nervous, and I just like I don't know. I don't want to do this because I'm nervous. I might mess up. The other way is like, hey, I'm just like all these feelings right now are just that's me being excited because I want to give this presentation. But it's I don't know if this is actually linguistic program, but it's somehow reprogramming with language to say what I'm feeling is different, and then in your head now, those two things are very different. One is, hey, I'm just excited. You might even I don't know if you're tricking your brain or not, but now you feel better about it and you can go probably deliver a good presentation. But is that linguistic programming, like rephrasing how you feel in a different way? Or am I getting that wrong?
So it's really about, so neurolinguistic programming is an attitude. It's an attitude of curiosity. Reprogramming ourselves is really getting to the point where we get to acknowledge that the story that I am telling myself, and it's so easy to fall into a story and to repeat it to myself like 100 times in a half an hour because of us needing to be right, and there's no willingness to be wrong. This is the story. That is how I think I'm feeling, because my mind continues to tell me that same stuff over and over again. So being able to make a shift in the story and replace this fear or the shame or this not good enough that I'm feeling with excitement or freedom or passion, like being able to replace that takes quite a bit of space in the mind, and having space, I mean not having one story on top of the other story on top of the other story, because then we're just in this spinning rut that goes around and won't go anywhere. So neurolinguistic programming is really about looking at where it is that I am stuck, and what feeling is attached to it, because once there's a story and the story attaches to the feeling, it's checkmate. But once we can allow this feeling to be whatever it needs to be, if it's sadness, let it be that, because nothing will stay like that forever. The only constant in life is change. So it's going to be there for a while and it's going to move into something else. And if I am going to be stuck in the story of I am not enough and I'm afraid of the camera and I can't do this, it's checkmate.
So is what I was saying somewhat related?
Somewhat related, yes.
Somewhat.
It's definitely right. Being able to see that I'm attaching to the story and I'm labeling this feeling something that it is not.
Got it. So I see you do social media posting, and you guys do like videos, like sort of like this, but it's you two together, and you're talking about things. Do you do anything else? Are you like helping clients are you do any kind of life coaching?
Yeah, we have a course called Game of Life, which is like a quasi coaching structure, where it's a pre-recorded course that you get to go through, and then it's got live one-on-one or group coaching as a support to that. So the content you get to go through in your own time, and then working with the content and making it yours, and your experience of that gets to be done in a live session.
Got it. What inspires you guys to like think of all these different types of content? Because there's only so many times you can talk about the same thing, I think. Or maybe you can, I don't know. But do you guys read books? Do you like listen to podcasts? How do you keep coming up with content that will help people? Or is it just like reinstilling the same, like, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but like reinstilling the same core principles into people? Or are you coming up with like new things as well? Because I find it like I have to come up with new content all the time. I do three podcasts a week. So what inspires you guys to like come up with like these cool topics that you post on your social media pages all the time?
Life has no shortage of problems.
That is true. Yeah. Do you guys read?
So I think with working with myself for the last 20 odd years, I have read a lot, many different books. And I've also done many different courses like neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, human behavior, body language, the list goes on and on and on. And through all of these different courses, I really got to move a whole lot closer to myself, and not be the outside self, but the inside self, which is really the biggest thing that is missing in this world. Is people are so fixated on what is outside, and the fear of the outside is so real that they know that as their reality, their truth. And we actually have got one message. There's this world of fear, and there's this world of love, and these are the rules for the world of fear, and those are the rules for the world of love. And to make this perception shift from one side over to the other side, the greatest thing that we are sharing at this point in time is an awareness of something else. And there's many different ways in which we get to convey this one message. But I read a whole lot of books on self-development. I've done many courses, and as a matter of fact, I don't think I will ever be finished. 2 years ago, we started with a course in miracles, and it teaches truth.
A Course in Miracles?
Yeah.
Got it. What is that about?
So just before I answer that question, to add on to what you're saying, and we've both done so much personal development and so many different modalities. And you also spoke about meditation. I have meditated. I did my first meditation course when I was 5 years old.
Oh.
I am the daughter of two happy parents, and so a lot of these very alternative things were instilled in me from young. And really, there's pieces of truth in every modality, and some of them are clearer than others. But when we got to this point of finding A Course in Miracles, it's a teaching that brings everything together. So A Course in Miracles is a channeled work of Jesus, who's come to correct the misinterpretations of what he was teaching 2,000 years ago. And it's really this awareness of who we really are, as love is our true nature, and how fear gets to overshadow that all the time, and creates this perpetual cycle of lifetime after lifetime, or form after form, lesson after lesson. That's really, all these different forms are really the same thing. And so that's today what gets to lead all the work that we do. And although we use lots of different modalities in the work that we do, it's all this one teaching of truth, and that is, we are love.
Sorry, I was on mute. You guys, so a lot of what you guys, at the core of it, it seems like love is at the core of it. Is that right? Like self-development, there's a lot of things I don't even know if we can get all into it all. Like, it seems you've meditated since you're 5. I don't know how many people have done that. That seems really interesting. That's a young age to start all this stuff. I started maybe 25, 27. I don't even know. But love is at the core. Is that?
See, I'll use meditation right? as an example of that. Yes. Meditation is a beautiful technique and there's many different techniques in meditation, but it's a way to still the mind and to detach your identity from your mind to being the observer of your mind. And that's wonderful. It's a really beautiful practice, but it's very easy or not to do when you are sitting on your own in silence and stillness, and you've dedicated this time to that. Sometimes even that is too difficult to do, but it's a lot easier to do it in that environment. Now take yourself out of that nice, closed, quiet environment and put yourself into your daily life with all the things happening in there. And how well do you apply that practice of stilling the mind and being the observer of what's going on? And that's really where so many modalities, in my opinion, fall short, is it doesn't bring the practice into the experience of the day. And that's really the difference in the work that we do and in the teachings of A Course in Miracles, is to make the practice a consistent application of a change in mindset from fear back to love. And that default to fear, to the ego, is so ingrained in us that it is really a consistent moment by moment practice that we get to do, and in doing that become better at living in that peaceful mindset rather than the one that is not in this present moment and does not exist.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out how you get someone into that love mindset. Like if I were to come to you and I was like all fearful, but also like maybe a little angry at the world and everything, that seems like the perfect person to just sit down and say, "Hey, calm down. You seemed a little angry at everyone here." How do you? Are there people like what was like a good trans? You don't have to tell. I know your clients are private, right? But like, how do you? Is there like a transformation that you've seen from when someone who's came to you who was like angry at the world and just like afraid, and then you talk them down and they were like, you transform them? Are there examples like that you have? Like, I'm just trying to figure out how you get someone into that mindset. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, many, many, many. So that's really how my journey started. Is I was super angry, super angry. It was me against this world, and I had this belief that I'm in this alone. There's just me, and so that angry guy that you were talking about, my life got transformed within 3 days, from getting to seeing like this is how it is, and to moving to be like in this free space of like, okay, that is not true, it's never been true. um,
How
I
did
would
you do
like
that in
to
3 days?
I would like to share with you the 5 rules of the world of fear. So in the world of fear, the very first rule says love is either somewhere in the past or somewhere in the future. And the second rule says love is outside of myself. The third rule says love is form, meaning it will show up in a very specific package. It would look like this, it will talk like that, it will sit and stand like the other. And then the fourth rule says love, um, love is punishment. Like when this form does not show up in that very specific way, it will be punished. And then the fifth rule says that uh, love is destruction, which means once it's punished, it will end in destruction. So really understanding the rules of, and it's not my rules, it's like universal rules. Once understanding of this world of fear becomes true for me, then I can look at it and be like, okay, I don't want to be there anymore. So especially for an angry person, it's like they do not believe or feel much about themselves. It's always something outside. And being able to shift over to the 5 rules in the world of love says, rule number 1, love is now. Like there's nothing in the past. There's nothing. It's now in this moment. Rule number 2 says, love is inside of me. Like love is not something that will come to me at a certain time, at a certain place, because now I'm good enough and deserve it. It's inside of me all the time. And rule number 3 says that love is content, love is substance. It's like not something that we can contain in a little bottle. Hey, Chris, I'm sending you a bottle of love. It's like we can't. It's inside of us, around us, outside of us. It's everywhere all the time. And rule number 4, love is freedom. Like when we really get to understand and experience that love of substance, of content, then we get to experience freedom. And with that, rule number 5 says love is creation, which means out of that space we get to create. So for me, it was really the shift of and a vibration of acceptance, like accepting what is outside and it's got nothing to do with me. And in that acceptance of what is, what started happening was this creation of what is not.
Do you feel like your relationships with people were better off after that shift? Like if you were angry at the world and now you're different. Like your relationships with people might probably got better. Like you probably,
Absolutely. Yeah. Like everything changed. Like everything. I promise you. The toxic bad relationships like all just disappeared, and the beautiful, loving, open relationships, they were just like there. Like all of a sudden there was just this freedom within connecting with people. It's like everything changed. I for the last 15, 18 years, I can hardly tell you that somebody came and disrespected and argued and spoke down to. It's like it's just this respect going and coming and going and coming wherever. So it definitely shifted a lot.
nice. Do you tell that story to people that you guys are coaching? Or is that a personal story?
Like what I can share with you is that the ego wants to be special. The ego wants to be more special. For instance, if I say, "Hey, Chris, I have a headache," the ego might want to be more special, and Chris will say, "Hey, Renier, that's nothing. I've had a headache for the last 5 days." So when I want people to speak about a relationship, for instance, I can tell them how tough and how hard the relationships was for me, and how going through this process got to shift me into that place where I now have this flow, this freedom, this love. And then that ego would like to be special, and they'll be like, "Okay, but my relationship here is like this, and that one there is like that." So even though it is a personal story, we get to use it when a person needs it, but it's not for everybody all the time.
Yes. Got it. Got it. Kathryn, when are we getting the next version of this podcast coming out? I'm excited to hear it. It
Yeah,
seems
I'm
like you're
excited
almost
too.
ready to go. It seems like you're on the cusp of doing it, but you don't know. I say just do it.
Yeah,
Freaking do it.
we've been talking about doing a podcast for a while, and it's just been this massive workload with what we're busy doing, and the systems and growth that we're
But
experiencing.
the videos you post on YouTube, Facebook, you could almost turn that into its own podcast, right?
Yeah,
Like it's podcasts nowadays are just like there. You could like I put this on YouTube. It's like a video podcast,
yeah,
but it's the same thing. Like you guys are almost doing it.
yeah. We
You know
are,
what I mean?
we
It's
are.
just I don't even know how you'd change the form. I don't even know if you have to change the format. You can just keep doing what you're doing and just consider that the podcast because
Yeah, it would just
it
need to get
essentially
put
is.
on podcast platforms is the only change that
Yes.
I would make to that. But yes, you are right. I can consider my ass kicked.
So when do you guys wake up in the morning? I like asking it. I like seeing what time. I asked someone this, and they said 3:15 in the morning, and I said, "What? I don't know
Why?
how the hell. I don't even know." And they go to sleep at like 9:30. I thought they'd go to sleep at like 7. I don't know. I don't. That seems crazy to me. But so what about you guys? Like, what do you have like a morning routine? You guys seem like the beach is part of it. Like, what's your morning routine?
Yeah, so it's evolved quite a lot, and it really depends on what it is that we're doing, and also the season, and what demands we've got on us with work and and life. But at the moment, we get up at around 6 and we enjoy a cup of coffee and we spend 10 minutes with God in the mornings, first thing. And then we decide on the mission for the day. Depends on the weather. But most mornings involve some kind of adventure outdoors, whether it's to go and run up a mountain or swim in the ocean or go into a yoga class or a cycle, or we've got lots of different adventures we like to do, and be back in the office. And again, it depends. 9 o'clock in the office, or it can be 11 o'clock in the office. We're doing a lot of international work, so a lot of the time we're working late at night. So that's just a typical day, but it's like I said in the beginning, this is really more about a lifestyle and living it day to day rather than it needing to be like this all the time. Like, be flexible.
Yeah. what got you guys into yoga? Because I was reading a book and some guy, like, he was very good in shape and did all these crazy things, and then it's actually the same guy, David Goggins, and as he got a little older, his like he thought he thought he was dying. The doctors thought he was dying, and it was because he was like so tight that the blood wasn't flowing. Like his he was so tight that like the blood wasn't flowing properly to his to get the oxygen to his muscles and his main organs. I don't know. And he started to stretch and he feels much better. And then I recently started stretching every morning. It just, and yoga I know is a little bit more, it's a little bit way more intense than stretching, but like it still has, I think, an aspect of stretching to it. And for me, I I felt more relaxed after I started stretching. I don't know exactly why. I could be mistaking this for something else, but I don't know. During that time period after, I felt more relaxed. I have no idea why. My best guess is that like when you're more flexible, the blood flows and you get the oxygen quicker to your muscles. I don't know. I think that's what's happening. But is that what got you guys into yoga? And do you experience some of the similar benefits, or what benefits do you experience when you do yoga?
So I actually used to be a dancer and then a Pilates instructor from in my youth, and so that's really where, like, how I got into yoga was through that, and it's just it was a derivative of it. But all of what you're talking about, feeling more relaxed after stretching, is actually because your whole nervous system gets to function better when your muscles aren't so uptight and bloods. So when your joints and your muscles are stretched and relaxed, everything functions better. And that's really yoga. It depends what type of yoga you do. There's like, I don't know, 100 different types of yoga. But but the core of yoga would be to make the whole. It's a holistic way of living. It's not even really just exercise. In the West, we've made it like that, but in the East, it's still a holistic way of showing up, and the connection, the emotional connection between the different organs and muscles and joints and all of that.
Yeah. I feel like especially me, when I was before this, I would just think that, yoga is good to keep you flexible. Fine. I was like, man, I don't really need to be that much flexible. And then I started doing it and I feel relaxed. So I just feel like people maybe don't understand that there are more benefits than just being flexible. Like if you don't care just about being flexible, I don't know about the central nervous system. That's I guess true. So like me feeling more relaxed is because I'm stretching it all out. I don't know, because maybe you're saying it because the central nervous system is able to flow more easily.
Yeah, when you release all those blockages. But
Yeah.
the other thing that yoga does, and I can also bring this back into a technique that we use, is breath.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
and and the holistic form of yoga is really an exercise in the mind, is to use the breath and the body to still the mind. And that's where most of your benefits come from. So to be conscious about breathing, and it's one of the techniques that we use, is diaphragmatic breath work to take people out of fear and bring them back to love. And we understand that love is only exists in this present moment right now. So as soon as there is any noise going on in the mind, we are out of the present moment and out of love. So to bring the awareness back to this conscious deep breathing, where we get to oxygenate our brain, where the mind, which is what the mind consumes, is oxygen. So when you breathe deeply and consume more oxygen, you have more space and stillness in the mind.
So I do a similar breathing exercise. I don't know if it's called diaphragmatic, but it's deep abdominal breathing. I do
Yes.
I don't, for some reason in the chest, it does, I think because when you do abdominal breathing, it goes all the way down to the lungs, is what I
Yeah.
understand.
Yes.
Got it. So
Yeah.
that's
So
what
that
I
also,
match that with meditating. Like when I meditate with the deep breathing. So I
you see, and
kill
that's
two
a
birds,
great
one stone.
example of how you get to have this beautiful practice and then go into your life and completely forget about it. So that diaphragmatic breath, that really deep conscious breathing is something that we teach in every moment to breathe like that, especially when you're not feeling good, to create space in the mind. And that is a great technique to make you feel a lot better and lighter and more at peace.
Got it. So I can do it while I'm meditating, but I should do it more even when I'm not meditating, and I'll feel better.
Yeah.
But is it like you take a break, like if you're stressed out and you just okay? Do you like? Is it like a you? Cause it's a deep breath. Like you can't do it while you're like in the middle of a working, right? Like you have to sort of just take a step back for a few seconds and take a deep breath. Like what is the advice you tell people to do?
So you see, a great part of understanding neurolinguistic programming is that you have a conscious mind and that you have a subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind loves you and it wants to serve you. So by doing this diaphragm breathing consciously, in the morning when you meditate, in the middle of the day when you have 5 minutes for yourself, and at the end of the day, like three intervals throughout the day, consciously you are showing your subconscious mind what it is that you want, and your subconscious mind says, oh, you want more of this, I will give you more of this. So doing this for 30 days, it takes 21 days to install a new habit. By doing this for 30 days, your subconscious mind takes over that function. So if I get into bed now and I'm going to sleep, it happens within the first 5 minutes I fall asleep. And I promise you, throughout the night, I do this diaphragm breathing. It's not something that I consciously do anymore. So it's really a way of being consistent with something for a short period of time, and then the subconscious mind takes over that that habit, that behavior, that way of breathing. And whenever I get to a place where, let's say, an argument is in front of me, the first thing that happens is the shallow breathing. But because I've been programmed to breathe in a certain way, I can stand there and breathe deeply, and I don't even have to answer anything. It's just like I can be in that moment. But the moment I go out of that moment and the short breath is here, there's not much that can come out other than joining the argument.
My wife and I, we make fun of each other because if we're stressed at something, or angry, you hear it. The other person goes, and then when we go, why'd you breathe like that? We can tell. I've stopped doing that after I've stopped doing it as much because I think my deep breathing has helped a little bit, and this flex and the stretching I think has made me more relaxed. But it was common that we go. That's the short breath, right? Is that the short breath?
So that's like a sigh, which is not quite the same thing.
It is, but yeah, it's I don't know. I was talking to someone and he said like that was it's a chest breathe still, and
Yeah,
the
it's in
chest
the
breathe
chest,
is
definitely.
yeah. I don't know. Um, how long have you guys been? Because you're each been on 20-year journeys of doing this, but eventually you guys started doing this as a partnership together. How long? When did that start happening? And what was the experience like doing that together? Because it's like when you are on this journey and you find someone else who's also on it, it's awesome. It's awesome having a partnership with someone who does that, someone who really gets you right. You start talking to some random person on the street about like all this stuff. They'll be like, okay, that's cool, but they have no idea. They don't get you. And then you talk to someone who gets you and who can work with you every day about this stuff. It must feel great. It has to feel good, right?
It feels amazing, and it's super intense at the same time. So yeah, to answer your question, we've been doing this for 2 years together, and yes, it is amazing to have found somebody to speak the same language with and to share a shared purpose with. And it definitely makes it a lot easier and surely speeds up the process. But at the same time, you don't get away with anything anymore, because now your job is to, or you're aware to be able to call each other on your BS. So it can also be really challenging, but liberating too. And that really is the purpose of what we're doing, is to be able to go into the fear, not to hide from it, not to manipulate it, not to pretend it's not there, but to have somebody help you, call you on your stuff, so that you can go into it. And by going into it, you get to transcend it, rather than just push it down for it to come out in a different form later.
This might be one of my last questions for you guys, because we're coming up on the hour, and I know you have something after this, so I'll give you a few minutes for that. Do you guys journal? Is journaling something that you guys do that you find helpful for yourselves and for your clients?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I just started journaling, and I actually always like writing. I think writing's really helpful. Helps it helps take whatever the hell is in your head and put it on paper. And sometimes what's in your head is like a mixture of so many thoughts. It could be 3 or 4 thoughts, and in your head it's hard to dissect them. But when you write them down, you dissect them. But what is my journaling? So my journaling is, at the end of the day, and I just started this like a couple of days ago, so I'm not going to act like I've been doing this for my whole life. But actually, I created my own journal on Amazon. So like I just wanted to see if it could sell. But so now I'm trying to use it. You write a few things down each day. One is today's progress, like on your goals and your priorities, what you're grateful for, and then tomorrow's priorities. I don't know. I don't know if that's working, but it seems okay. It seems like it's a good way to take stock for the day. What am I grateful of? And then, okay, what do I have to do tomorrow? And I know you have to live in the present moment, but you need a balance, right? Don't you need a balance of present and then also be able to future look? And this will be the last one, because we're coming up on 1 minute to the hour. I know you guys have something else to do, so I'll leave it here after this.
You take it.
I think it's
loaded question.
I think it's really important to be able to, because everything is energy, and to create what is not. We first start with the acceptance of what is. And with all of these thoughts going on all the time, for us to be able to put it down on paper, it's almost like a manifestation, because from thought, through my heart, through my arm, onto my hand, onto paper, it's like creating something. And by writing it down, whether it is my desired outcome for tomorrow, and we are not so caught up with goals. It's important to have goals, but it's more important to have an intention where we get to take action and experience a certain result. So by writing this down, it's like almost like I have created that. There's a little bit of time, space in between myself and what I wrote down there. So I think that's why it's really important to be able to journal, to be able to get stuff out on paper, whether it is something for the future, because in this moment here, I can plan something for the future, and then I can come back to this moment and I can continue my day. It's not as if I am in the future and I'm just fantasizing and sitting and waiting for this fantasy to become a reality. So important to be able to write to write stuff down.
Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I know you got something else to do. I appreciate you guys coming on here. You guys are doing awesome things. And can I say that I have friends in South Africa now? Am I allowed to say that? Can I say I have some friends in South Africa?
Yes, you can. It's awesome to be on your show, Chris, and I hope to do it again.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. Keep inspiring people, and have a really good rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
And you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much. Take it easy.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.